possibly can be done militarily for the people in Libya's third largest city. Shashank Joshi is from the Royal United Services Institute, talking to me live out of London. When you've got a city as densely populated as this, more than 300,000 people, and the rockets, the mortars are raining down indiscriminately, what would you do if you were the force fighting against this to try and prevent it happening? First of all, from the Libyan opposition's point of view.
Well, one of the hardest things to accept in this scenario is that there is very little NATO itself is capable of doing. But you asked about the opposition itself. What is happening in Misrata is street fighting. That is, street fighting around the port, in the city, between regime and rebels. Now, we know already the opposition is poorly equipped, poorly organised, and that's in the east, where they have a transitional council. It's, I imagine, even worse in the west, in Misrata, where they have had less opportunity to organise themselves. This is a classic and punishing siege from which the only escape is the fact that the rebels control the port. There is actually very, very little the rebels can do other than continue to punish Gaddafi's forces in urban guerrilla warfare.
But why can't NATO do anything about it? Because its brief from the United Nations says it's allowed to do anything militarily that protects civilians. Anything militarily that protects civilians.
That's right. Well, there are sort of two factors at play here. One of them is, from the air alone, NATO does not have the precision weaponry and assets necessary to break a siege that is being inflicted from within the city walls. Even if other European states alongside Britain and France were flying ground attack missions, even if America was back in this, it's difficult to accept, but NATO could not break the siege from the air at acceptable cost to civilians and infrastructure. The only other option is a small ground force to secure the port and allow further evacuations and the deployment of humanitarian forces. This is what Lord Owen, a former British Foreign Secretary, suggested earlier this week. Now, that would be straightforwardly illegal in the sense of violating UN Resolution 1973, but it would also be practically disastrous, because these forces would either be forced to stand by and watch as civilians were killed, just like Dutch peacekeepers at Srebrenica, or they would be forced to engage in street fighting themselves, which would be indecisive, protracted, bloody, and would have no obvious way out.
Shashank Joshi from RUSI, the Royal United Services Institute, thanks very much for your view on that.